Hello, this is Empathy Unbound. Embrace your superpower. Our very welcome guest today is Howard Brown. Howard is a Silicon Valley entrepreneur, best-selling author of Shining Brightly, award-winning international speaker, inspirational podcaster, survivorship coach, health technology consultant, and, as of time of recording, two-time stage 4 cancer patient and survivor 30 years apart. In the past few weeks, and although it's perhaps hard to comprehend, Howard has just been diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, another very aggressive form of cancer. I did drop Howard a note with my best wishes saying, look, fully understand if you want to cancel this recording, but in Howard's words, I don't have chemo that day, so let's just do it. Which I think really talks to his resilience and, desire to communicate his message, which I think is fabulous. So I would, after reading Howard's book, listen to his podcast, I would tell you to be prepared to be inspired. So I can't think of any other way to describe it. There's a lot more that I could say, but Howard's the man of the moment. So Howard, what I want to ask really is, tell us about your background. What's helped create the person joining us today?
Sure. So I want to thank you for that warm introduction, Andrea. I'm just so glad to be here. I love empathy as a topic because I incorporate that in my life daily, and we'll get into the details of that. But I grew up outside of Boston, Massachusetts. I'm a son, a twin brother, a husband, and a dad, and a good friend to many. And that's really what's important in life. I've had great business transactions. I've had failed business transactions. I've made mistakes. I've had huge successes. And I really think that we're really judged on our kindness and helping others. And I never intended to be an international best-selling author or speaker or podcaster, yet here I am. And now faced with another third cancer mountain to climb. It's absolutely unfathomable, and I wish that on nobody. It's a horrible existence that I need to get through, but if I want to see my daughter get married and keep living the life that I've now become, Mr. Shining Brightly, then I've got to go through what I've got to go through. So we're going to shine brightly together in our conversation. Absolutely.
That's very good. You wanted to sort of describe the things that you've done and well, I have to say things you've done so far. You wear a lot of hats, and there's a big difference, I think at least, between being an entrepreneur and being a survivorship coach and a lot of things. And I wondered how you came to the different elements of what you are, because some of them feel quite different. I just wondered how you got to each of those.
So I was very fortunate that I got to go and attend Babson College, babson.edu. It's a very small college. It's a specialty school, but it's the number one thing that it is known for is entrepreneurship and family business, and also women and minority businesses. It teaches you how to think experientially. It teaches you how to work in teams. And actually, entrepreneurship has your own definition. You can define yourself, and you can work in a big bank and be entrepreneurial, right? It's much harder to do so. But entrepreneurship takes many shapes, many forms, many sizes. But one thing it does is it transforms worlds and economies. It does. Making money for your family and making money to do what you want to do or buy your next big house, that's important. But it's one aspect of it. So I immediately clung on to entrepreneurship as part of who I am. And I was fortunate enough that the start of sort of the technology computer revolution was happening at the end of my university and college term. Mm-hmm. And so it was still, the internet wasn't invented yet, neither was cell phones, and computer use was just starting. But I really embraced that as a technology person. And so I got to live through Web 1.0, Web 2.0, the mobile generation, and now the AI stuff. And I love it. It's just sort of a passion of mine in the business sense. So that's what I did. I went to work for a very large computer company, and then eventually a lot of startup companies, and be able to have great success taking them to public markets or to acquisition. And I also had in between that, at age 23, a very big that stopped me in my tracks, which was stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. At age 24, right when I was getting started, right when things were going good, I got stopped in my tracks, and I had to call a huge timeout to save my life. And I'm just not giving it enough time, but I was basically in a live or die moment. And the miracle number one is my twin sister saved my life through at that time called a bone marrow transplant. And I got my life back. I got to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. That's the first part of where my career was. And I picked up where I left off. I started back in technology, back at startups, and then I moved to California after getting better and met my wife and did a lot of community service, and then eventually moved to Silicon Valley. And now I am in Michigan for the last 20 years, raising our families together with my twin sister. And it's really a beautiful thing. But I've been interrupted in the meantime with colon cancer and at metastatic stage 3, then metastatic stage 4. Another time out in my life where I had to focus on healing and living, right? And the unknowns weren't there. And I just came and finished 5 years cancer-free from colorectal cancer when, you and I just got introduced. 2.5, 3 weeks ago, I wasn't feeling great, but I went in to see and give blood and to see what it was. And a week later, 5 days later, I was told that I have acute myeloid leukemia, which is cancer of the bone marrow, and it can be deadly and it can be cured. And so I'm going down the route for a stem cell transplant, formerly called a bone marrow transplant, probably in the next 60 days.
And has your twin sister been sort of healthy through this time? She hasn't had anything similar?
Nothing. My twin sister, because we're two different eggs, right? We're not identical. But nope, she's healthy, and unfortunately, the only reason I got lymphoma was that it's called mismatch repair. The body started stamping out the bad cells. That was the reason. The reason I got colon cancer, though, is not hereditary. It's because of all the chemotherapy, radiation, side effects, medications that hampered my ability to handle certain enzymes, which became a polyp which sat in my intestine for 10 years and grew to 8.5 centimeters that they had to remove by surgery. And then if it's in your lymph system, it became colon cancer, and then it spread to my liver and my stomach lining, and then it gets really more serious because you're metastatic stage 4. But I had a massive surgery that cut out all the cancer and poured hot chemotherapy in me in March of 18, and I've been healing. And what I did, though, during that time is it was the pandemic. I went from colon cancer to the pandemic where I was healing. I became a published author of Shining Brightly, so I had good time during the pandemic. Those of you watching on the screen will see the book cover at shiningbrightly.com. And I also then started speaking on stages and putting out a podcast, the Shining Brightly Show, that goes out to 250,000 people every week, and with a message of resilience and hope and kindness and gratitude, and including empathy. So that's why we met.
It is, yeah. And I read the book, listened to the podcast, and I just felt a real affinity, really. And one of the things that I really heard loud and clear through the book in particular, and you've already mentioned it, is a relationship with your family. And you talk about your centenarian matriarch, Bubby Bertha, who was 104, 105.
Her brother was 105. She lived till 101. Yeah.
She did pretty well. I think that's quite the connection that she created with your roots. And I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about the importance of family in your life, really.
So again, everyone has some different family dynamics, right? Yeah. And so I was very fortunate. My mom had twins at 19. And we don't have a big family. We have a fairly smaller family. But when my great-grandmother, Bubby Bertha, came from parts of Russia, could have been Ukraine, could have been Poland, because you didn't know the boundaries. She lived on a farm with 6 kids and basically no wood floor. And she learned traditional Judaism, Orthodox Judaism, and her brothers, that they were going to be captured by the Tsar's army, fled and made it to the United States and sent back tickets for them to come, plus ABC books to learn the language. And this young lady at age 15 went with her mother and another couple sisters, and they got stopped in Antwerp for medical checks. And Bertha was left behind, at age 15, because she had trachoma, and that had to heal in order to let her on the ships. And so thank God she was a seamstress. Thank God she was a nanny. And the family she nannied from said, instead of going to Ellis Island, New York, let's go through Montreal. It could be, that they'll let you in that way. And they did. And then amazingly, this now 16 or 17-year-old, made her way from Montreal, Canada, down to the Boston area and actually met up with the family. I mean, you really think about that, doing that in the early 1900s. There's no GPS. there's no GPS. There's no cell phones. There's no communications. So her family had no idea if she was okay or not. She showed up at the door one day. It's pretty incredible. And so this woman had a great influence on my sister and I, because she would take us by the hand, and she was always teaching the lessons that the Bible taught to us, and to embrace that. And there's a story in there about finding a quarter, and that quarter was not to be spent on candy, but actually be given to the poor.
Yes.
As a donation. And so she taught us big lessons, and every day she would teach us to, and we got to be with her quite a bit, so for much of her life, but she would always feed us traditional types foods and stuff, and some we liked, some we didn't, but she was always teaching us to choose kindness, and to choose giving, and to also choose healing. And then I add also choosing joy, and choosing empathy, and choosing gratitude, and choosing not to hate. And so that was really drilled into us, that our family, not just me, our entire family carries that with us. And we speak about that, and we try to act on that. And it's a real interesting way to start a book, is because that's where my roots were. And she was a remarkable woman.
There's some cool photos in the book as well, if you get a chance to read it, anybody. It's there's some pretty, you can sort of just tell by the look in the lady's eyes that she's not somebody to be messed with.
Nope,
it's pretty determined, really. So which I guess I was just saying before, I sort of have a 17-year-old, 14-year-old, and I'm trying to imagine them sort of coming across Europe, and then into Canada, and then trying to make their way to America, trying to find a family. It's amazing what people do, isn't it? Or had to do. I just find that, fascinating.
The other piece of family that I do want to say is that we didn't grow up very, wealthy. We were poor, but my dad worked 3 jobs, and our family unit, seeing the grandparents on weekends, playing with the cousins, building traditions. So my grandparents had, my mom's side had traditions of taking us up to the Catskill Mountains in the New York mountains since like age 7 till like age 18, every Memorial Day. My parents have started a tradition of taking our kids to Ogunquit Beach, Maine. It's their happy place. It's their spot. And we have all stories in between. And, I think I tell a story in the book that, we actually had a big debate over whose grandmother's brisket recipe was the best. Families laugh together.
Dangerous debate.
Yes, but families argue, families cry together, and families celebrate joy together. And the reason that the stories of family are so important is that it's very applicable, and go, how am I, and how is my family unit? And if I don't like the way my family is right now, what can I do to change it? What can I do to improve my family situation, to get closer, to bond, to support each other in their times of need, and to be able to have fun, because you only get a very short amount of time. And especially when you're faced with, metastatic cancers like I have, you appreciate that time. My parents and my daughter are coming out. I haven't seen my daughter in a year. I am not allowed to hug her because I don't have an immune system. I'm going to hug her anyways, because I don't know how many more chances I will get to hug her. So it's very thought-provoking, and I don't want the audience or the listeners to understand, this book is all about inspiration. It's asking you questions to think about how to actually make the right changes or pivots in your life to secure more happiness, to secure more joy. And you do that by offering others kindness, and offering others gratitude, and offering others healing. That's the magical formula. Be kind, and kindness will come back to you. And I can tell you right now, when I told people about this 3rd diagnosis, tens of thousands of people are sending prayers and hugs and supporting me through my GoFundMe, and supporting me through sending me, some woman knitted me an Afghan so I could stay warm. I mean, I'm getting the generosity of others in my time of need now, and it is beautiful. It is the thing that's holding me together right now. So it's
and one of the things that outside of family, but as important, you talk about the value of mentors in your book, and how you sort of select the right ones. And I just wondered how you would define what a mentor does, and what the role of the person being mentored is. How does that relationship work?
So there's a big word out there called coaching. Everyone's
Uh-huh.
calling themselves a coach, right? And you have coaches with all different sort of expertise. And you know, I'm a life coach and I'm a survivorship coach because I know how to survive when you get knocked down in life, business, in health, and in relationships. I've gotten back up. That's my life experience, and I was able to share that and how to do that. I call that walking in darkness and being able to get out of that and lift yourself back up. And so, mentorship is two ways. There's being the mentor, okay, that's
Uh-huh.
taking an honest interest in someone else's well-being. And so
Yep.
that mentorship of taking an honest interest in someone else's well-being, looking out for their blind spots, being a cheerleader, okay? Being an accountability coach of telling them, you know what? We got to make sure I hold you accountable to what your deliverables are. Being a mentee, it's a two-way street. You have to allow yourself to be coached, mentored, advised, and be able to accept that and have that give and take and embrace that. And I wrote a chapter in my book. It's really the lost art of mentorship is true leadership. And I became a Jewish big brother mentor to a 10-year-old. And a lot of my learnings became, because I didn't have a brother, I had a sister, but you know, when I'm age 27 and I'm mentoring a 10-year-old boy, okay, I wanted him to listen to me. He didn't always, but I took him to his first rock concert. I took him to his first baseball game. We got to experience him. He kicked my butt playing chess. And I will tell you that the giving opportunity of wrapping ourselves around each other, I mean, we are family. So this young man is now 41 years old with his own 3-year-old son. And we are brothers for life. And it doesn't always happen that way. But we both gave in to the ability to share each other's, advice back and forth. And we became family. And it's special. And in the business setting, I still have many mentors in many different areas. I have business mentors. I have cancer whisperers mentors. Okay. And I also cancer whisper and mentor others that I'm 5 steps ahead of. And then also in the interfaith world, I have mentors that are guiding me from other religions and I'm guiding them as well. And so this mentorship chapter is anyone can do it. You can offer yourself and say, I need a little support right now, and find the right person. Or if you can't find that right person, Howard Brown or Andrea, we can find it for them. And it's very simple. I have someone that you should meet and see where it goes. Because sometimes it's like dating. It doesn't work after the first or second or third date. And that's okay. But there is someone out there for you to be mentored and for you to actually mentor someone else. And I consider that a huge part of kindness. Because no one's getting paid. We're just making each other better.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we all, hopefully, we all recognise that we don't have all the answers. Some people might think they do, but I think there is absolutely that need just to call upon people that have had experience and have gone through particular situations that we might not have gone through, or not necessarily being mentored by somebody that's incredibly successful in everything. It's about somebody that's just been there and done it, really. And just can make things a little bit easier, can explain that things, think about cancer, can just explain that some of the things that the doctors don't get time to explain, or things you don't think to ask, or things you're a bit uncomfortable asking. But I think having, and same with business, things that I don't ask the bank about this, I don't ask my partner about this, but actually somebody that's been there, done that. And I wanted to ask a little bit about Silicon Valley. So you moved out there in 97, which was a year before Google existed. It was a good few years before we had broadband and Wi-Fi and all those sort of things. What was Silicon Valley like in those days? Did people recognize it as Silicon Valley? Was it a place where it was all about entrepreneurship? It was all about we're doing something, we're not quite sure what it is, and we're moving forward. What was Silicon Valley like in the late 90s?
It was the Wild West. I will tell you that the silicon chip that goes in a computer had been around, okay, from the 60s,
Yeah.
okay, because they were making mainframe computers and mini computers and VAXes and different things like that. And it just got accelerated with the version of the bandwidth opening up from modems to, a little bit more on fiber and a little more broadband. Not a lot, but it was crazy. Everyone was running full speed. And when you run full speed, you eventually get out of breath. You eventually scrape your knee. You got to get back up again. People were ignoring the rules. I like to say in my book that 2 + 2 = 200, but it doesn't
Yes.
for very long. And the pace of it was unsustainable, and there's a lot of craziness going on. But we were all trying to change the world using technology as that vehicle. And so I actually was in the audio video side of things in 1994, where we put digital television on air in 1994. And in 1997, we tried to do digital audio, and the world wasn't ready for it yet. So it's a question of being timing and location and being the world accepting change. So how many things are invented that don't get implemented right now? AI has been around for years, and now it's got a commercially available thing for the individual and companies to embrace. AI has been around a long time. It's not very new. The chunks of data we're getting and actually having to process it is the big problem now, as to what the accuracy rate is and how to refine that and to make it into a workable tool. But I had a blast in Silicon Valley, but my life was out of balance because all I did was work. And my daughter came in 2001, and my wife was like, you can't sustain that. You can't work 20-hour days and be traveling everywhere. That's not what families operate. And she set me straight. And so I started actually, got off the bubble had burst, and I started a nonprofit, and I built a brand new engine, an events engine to help the Jewish community called Planet Jewish. And it was a beautiful give back, but I was still using technology. And then I built a similar product on a different code base called Circle Builder, which actually was helping the Christian world and the Muslim world and the Hindu world. So I was actually using what I knew in the faith world to bring faith people together outside the church, the mosque, or the temple. And I knew that that was going to have to happen, because going to church or the mosque once a week doesn't make a relationship. You make that relationship daily with, if you believe in God or religion. And I had a blast doing it. It was very frustrating. I got to deal with the Vatican. And I mean, it's pretty amazing for a Jewish kid and his partners to be able to do that. But what happened was his life got interrupted. It ran for 10 years. And in 2016, I got diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. And I then had to set my priorities back. And the priorities were to fight colon cancer and live. So I wound everything down to those two businesses. And I began the fight for my life. And I won that one up until 3 weeks ago.
And throughout the book and your podcast, obviously, your Jewish faith is very important to you. But interestingly, as you just said, you're sort of open to helping, supporting, nurturing other faiths. And I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about why your faith is important and what it gives to you. And the reason I ask that really is that a lot of people would ask somebody when they have a cancer diagnosis or a partner passes away or whatever, do you not doubt your faith? Are you not angry at God for giving you this thing? And I always think it's an odd question to ask, because if you have faith, then that's the time you need it the most, I would imagine. I just wondered if you could touch on that a little bit throughout your various journeys.
Sure. So here's the deal. We're people that are come from tribes. Okay, we're a tribal people, just like animals go in packs, the wolf pack, right, and the lion's pride. So we're really actually in this world. I mean, there's been wars and dominating, from the Roman Empire to the Ottomans to now what's happening in the Ukraine and happening in the Middle East. There's that's not changed, but our common presence, which teaches our values, is really how do you live your life. And the way we do that in Judaism is supposed to be an image of God, and God is supposed to be the God of all kindness and all giving and all knowing, and so I find that opening yourself up there, Abraham and Sarah were the father of all the monotheistic religions out there, and they welcomed the stranger into their tent. They washed their feet and they fed them. Why doesn't everybody continue to do that? It doesn't make sense. So when I here moved to Michigan, where they have the highest content of Arab Muslims in the world, and we have a small Jewish community, nobody was talking. And so we started to talk and found out that we have a lot more similar than we do actually apart.
Yeah.
We really do. We're people of faith, we're people of culture, we're people of foods, we're people that have tradition, and most importantly, we're people that have and want the best to move our families forward by education and to teach values. And people don't realize that. And what I've noticed in these recent years is that people just actually threw that out the window. They're choosing hate. We're not born to hate as a baby. You have to learn it and choose to use your tongue or use your actions to be hateful. And so I choose not to hate every day. and so can everybody else. It's a discipline. So all this stuff is very bothersome in the world to me right now, because we need more people talking about choosing kindness, choosing gratitude, choosing empathy, choosing giving. And that's a choice. When I look in the mirror every day and say my morning mantra, I am blessed, I am lucky, I'm grateful. And I make my choices each day when I get out of bed. And now I'm faced with this, major, life-threatening deal, and I'm not changing for anybody. That's still my mission. And part of this podcast, if this can help one person go get screened for cancer, or go be kind to somebody else, or go get a mentor, we've done our job today, Andre. I'm happy.
Absolutely. And the importance of empathy comes out loud and clear in the book, which is great. And I just wondered what empathy meant to you. How would you describe empathy?
So I was thinking about this really hard, and I think empathy, and this is probably out there, but it transcends relationships. It needs to be a core value of who you are, because when you look at me, I don't look like a stage 4 cancer patient. My energy is good, right? I'm happy. I'm growing a little fuzz. I played 2 hours of basketball 2 weeks ago. I walk 3 miles each day under chemotherapy. No one looks at me and says, Howard, you're going through a life-threatening illness. You don't know what's going on in someone's head, inside their heart, and inside their body. You don't know, unless they're willing to share that with you. And I'm very public about myself. I respect everybody that's private. As we know, empathy is walking in someone's shoes for a few steps, right? And that's, unfortunately, I want nobody to walk in my steps of cancer. It's cancer sucks, S-U-X. Cancer is hard. It changes your life emotionally, physically, financially, and relationships. Okay, and the reason I say that in relationship is that there's people that when I started the colon cancer diagnosis, that aren't part of my life anymore, either through negativity or through both just not keeping in touch. And there are so many more people that entered in with love and healing and prayers and support and want to be kind. And the scales are just way up there. There's more people that want to do that than there's other people that can, and you just can't be friends with everybody. And I have an enormous network. So empathy to me allows me to basically stand beside someone and say, I see you. I hear you. And if you want to ask my opinion of how I may help you, I would be glad to do so. But they might not be asking. So you don't have to ask the question. They need to ask the question. And so if you hear, see, and feel someone, that embodies empathy to me.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I talked to a chaplain in the UK Army a few months ago, a lady chaplain called Reverend Joanna Jepson, and I said, well, when you sit with soldiers and their families and they're in very difficult situations that many of us can't imagine, what is the biggest thing that you do? So, well, the biggest thing I can offer them is to listen and hear them and say exactly that. Say that I hear you. I can't fix anything. I don't have a solution. I might not be able to agree with what they say, but I can absolutely give them the space to be heard. And I thought, I wasn't sure what to expect. I thought, well, they're going to come up with a very sort of religious answer and I pray with them and stuff. And it wasn't. It was just about, I'm literally there to let them know somebody's listening, that I absolutely hear them. And we've maybe lost the art of listening. We get distracted by lots of things around us. We've never had more digital TV channels, more social media channels, more networks, all of those sort of things. And one of the things you talk about, maybe with the most clarity I've seen actually, is social networks and the power and value that they bring to bring people together. And I do think about how the networks were 30 years ago when they didn't exist to how they are now, where it's always possible to find somebody that has a similar interest, that has a similar challenge, that has lots of different things. So I think in some ways they are very, very positive entities, but there's also that side where they sometimes pull people or push people to the different extremes with the different algorithms and things. And I just wonder whether you thought, it's a big question, do you think social media brings us closer together or it pushes us further apart?
Both.
Okay.
It does it both ways, because our children grew up digital. You and I didn't grow up digital. We played outside, and someone said, Mom, Howard, your mother made dinner. Get home. We didn't have these little phones here that were all consuming,
Yeah.
and digital instants. But my daughter grew up digital. Although we tried to hone it in and reel it in, we couldn't. And so, like anything else, how you use it matters, right? And so I'm using it for good right now, right? I'm trying to spread the message of resilience and hope, and there's others that are spreading messages of hate and deceit. And with AI, you can actually imposter and be somebody else you don't want to be, and you can use it for bad. And we've always been faced with that, right? We've always been faced with that in this world, and it is overwhelming the amount of digital that we have, and you have to be able to train yourself with values. So my daughter, okay, who's grown up digital, has to be able to know the right and wrong digital decisions, what she's doing. Because, like, for instance, today, my bank account got used by somebody else. The bank called and said, "Are these your transactions?" And I said, "No." And thank God they were checking, right? Thank God they were checking, and they did. So now I get a new debit card, and nothing's happening. But boy, it was pretty vulnerable there to find out, someone hacked me with, they wouldn't have got much money, but they were trying to make charges all over the place. So you can use it for good, you can use it for deceit, and these are the choices that we actually have to make every single day. And how much TV we watch, how much, you can binge watch 20 programs in a row. And unfortunately, most people end up going over consuming. It's sort of like eating the most ice cream you can eat. What are you going to get? A bellyache, right? So these digital monitors and what we do. But here's the blessing. I live in the U.S. You live right in the U.K., right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this has brought us together to have this beautiful conversation today. So look how great that is. That's truly an amazing technology accomplishment that you and I can sit in our homes and be able to have this conversation today. So you have to kind of embrace it, and the next, AI is going to take us to the next level of being able to use it for good, use it to heal cancer patients, but also use it for deceit, like we've seen in cryptocurrency and other things. And that's never changed. That's just kind of the way the world works.
No, there's always been sort of snake oil salesmen throughout the course of history, hasn't there? You look up in a small cowboy town with this sort of elixir of life sort of thing, and it's nothing more than some watered down whiskey or something. But we've always had people trying to pull a fast one, as we say, or a con. That's right. But I think one of the things with social media and online, I sort of try and sort of instill in our children, and actually my children's schools are very good about online communication and stuff. There's almost, I think, when you and I were at school, if we were on a school basketball team or football team or whatever, and we missed the winning touchdown, missed the sort of shot, we'd get, you suck, on the day, but he wouldn't follow us home on social media. Whereas now, I think about the football players, talking about Monday Night Football, and I was reading the paper today about the thousands and thousands and thousands of comments that people must get. And yes, you can say to people, well, just don't read it. But somebody else will tell you if you don't read it. Did you not see it? Let me tell you what it... Thanks, I was trying to avoid it. That's the thing that we trying to get across, that, if you say something online to somebody, it should, and it sounds simple, it should be something you'd be willing to say to them face to face. It's the same thing. You're out there, you're talking to somebody, you're saying something about somebody, and it follows you, because your daughter, my daughter, my son, they've grown up with this stuff. But I count myself lucky, I must admit, that social media and smartphones didn't exist when I was at school. I got pretty distracted anyway, and wasn't that focused at the time. I've got better, but just to think that was following me home and stuff. I think
think
about
really
Bobby
hard. Bertha, who had nothing, and now she lived through radio and black and white TV and then color TV. Yeah. She thought that world was incredible. So we now see this in digital, and it's tough, because the digital breadcrumbs will follow you everywhere. And everybody now is a reporter. Everyone now is taking a picture. Everyone, the reason that Facebook exists is because people still post what they ate for lunch. They put their salad, and someone hit a like to it. Now they serve up an ad for salad dressing to you. It's just incredible. It's overwhelming, and it's not going to stop unless you stop it. No. Unless you put the discipline, mental and physical discipline, together to do it.
And with AI, you obviously have a lot of knowledge about this. Are you on the AI will destroy us all, or that AI will save us all, end of the spectrum. You're going to say in the middle, aren't you? But
No, I'm
do you think
actually, I
I mean,
might. We'll see. So I have,
what do you think AI is? I mean, AI, you sort of, I guess at the moment, from a consumer perspective, we're really scratching the surface. You know, you got ChatGPT and a few of these other things. And that isn't anything really. It's a superpowered Google or whatever. But behind that, you talk to doctors, and you talked about this AI now that is more accurate with cancer screening, mammograms in particular, than the human doctor could ever be. So there are lots of good things that AI can do: the processing power, the speed, the accuracy, all of those sort of things. But there is still that fear people have about, from Hollywood, I guess, AI becomes Terminator 5 and just decides to enslave us all and take away our brains. And I can't see it myself, but you know far more about this than I do. What do you think?
so are we living in the matrix or living outside the matrix? Are you asking?
This is the question, isn't it?
It's
Yeah,
a good
are
question.
we in a, yeah? Is this reality or not?
Yeah, so it's reality. I will tell you that machine learning is not new as well as we talked about, but imagine that how AI can help actually identify, imaging to save someone,
Yeah.
from breast cancer or to help match me with a bone marrow donor. That is impressive. Figure out how AI could solve water crisis or food disparity, right? There's some good things that it can do. But also, what we're learning is that you can now become a deep fake and you can deceit and cheat people out of their life savings and bilk them out of money when they think they're talking to, a perfectly good friend. And that
Yeah.
friend isn't actually a woman, it's actually a guy that's trying to, deceitfully steal from them. So there's the good and the bad out there that AI can do. And what happens is that now their AI generates so much data. How much of that data can be put into true, real, digestible information? A
Hmm.
very small amount right now for the consumer, larger amounts for corporations. They're still trying to
Yeah.
figure it out. It's a work in progress, and there's going to be data leaks, and there's going to be things that happen that are horrendous, and then there's going to be things that we do this for good. So I look at kind of all the wars that are happening. The wars that are happening
Hmm.
aren't really happening on the ground a little bit. They're happening basically from a PlayStation, okay, a control panel of,
They are.
of an
Yeah.
airplane or the control panel where they're launching, targets. Those are the video games that you and I grew up with.
Yeah.
So that's real world though. And so I think we are living in the matrix, but are we the batteries, powering the machine world? No. But I love the balance that both of us had growing up without the digital
Mm.
because I really appreciate that time, just like you do. It's a special time that if we messed up, it didn't follow us around for the rest of our lives. So I'm with you on that.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, those pictures don't exist, thankfully. Yes.
Right, me too. I'm glad.
Mm. Well, the three super powerful words that you use, and they are life is love, and I love that sentiment. And obviously, we know for many life can be painful. Obviously, cancer diagnosis, loss of a loved one, whatever. Life can be distressing, can be challenging, but you stress that life is love, and I wonder what does that phrase really mean to you?
So I should be furious that
Yeah.
I'm getting cancer for the third time. And you know what? I have some fury and some upsetness, but I've now been able to, after the last 2 weeks, understand that this is my reality. I cannot at this point change my reality until I actually have a stem cell transplant. So I can be mad at the world, and I have every right to be so. Or I can actually choose to come on and have a great conversation with you and talk about that love is life and talk about this magical 4 letters called HOPE, called hope, which gives me the fuel to get out of bed and face this head on. And I hope to give your listeners and you the strength to do what you got to do this day. I hope it's not as hard as what I got to do. I got to face cancer and I got to go through blood transfusions and take yucky medicines and try to just stay healthy so I can get to a transplant. You may just actually have to do your next podcast, or you may be able to take your daughter to some type of appointment or party or whatever it is. You could do that with love, right? If we all do that with love, then it's going to be really going to be okay. And so if it's my time, it'll be, God will tell me it's my time. And if not, I want to be there for my daughter's wedding. I want to walk her down the aisle. My goals are still there. I want my book
Yeah.
to be made into a movie. I think Shining Brightly will be a great movie. And so I have my goals, and I want to get back to those goals. But I am life interrupted right now. But I have to tell you how much love is coming my way through the digital networks, through text, through email, through phone calls, through messaging. I am overwhelmed by the amount of people that are loving me in my time of need. And it's just beautiful.
People care.
It's just beautiful.
Yeah. No, but I mean, prayers and positive thoughts and affirmations. Well, I do think all of those things make a difference. I do think they make their way around the world, and they help support people. They show care. They demonstrate love, and I think that's it's such a powerful thing to give, but it doesn't cost anything. That's sometimes you think about what is. I've asked people before, what do you think success is? What is a successful life? And you hopefully get past quite quickly of success is the better car or the bigger house or the faster boat or whatever. And success and satisfaction is about being loved and about having the ability to show love. That's what, and I understand you've got to feed your family, all those things, of course. So once you've got the basics out of the way, that's what it is really. But one of the things I did want to ask you a little bit was that I think family and friendships and mentorships and all those things are wonderful things to have. I do think there's still a gap with how leaders lead within business, and I think that because whenever there's a recession or a downturn or whatever, one of the first things that get cut is training budgets, learning and development things, and we sort of stop teaching people how to be leaders. And we often promote people because they're great at their job, which sounds sensible. Somebody's that person, she's a great salesperson, brilliant. She hates managing people. She has no desire. She wants to go out there and sell. That's what she does. She brings in the revenue and she's great at it. Why then do we decide to give her a team of 20 people that need nurturing and supporting and developing? And I just wonder what you thought about how do we get businesses to really understand that leadership is more than just something that senior people do. It really is it's almost the most important thing you can have. Leading people that are straight out of school, that are maybe 18, didn't go to college, through to people that are on their 5th, 6th, 7th job, through to people that are going through the menopause, people that are going through a divorce, people that are going through whatever. You've got to be leaders to all those people. How do we help business and help people be leaders that lead?
So in order to be a leader, you have to have followers. And those could be employees. Those can be people that, I'm a board chair of a colorectal cancer foundation. I have a board that follows, and we collaborate together. And so I want to put this in a sports analogy for you. You have many football teams over there. I'm talking real football, right? And in London, not American football. Everyone's a professional team out there, but what makes the elite teams the better teams? Leadership, team chemistry, discipline, training, game plan. And it's no different in business, okay? If your leaders, okay, are in tune and are listening to their team members, okay, the workers, okay, if everybody is in chemistry, okay, and they actually understand, empathize, and understand the customer experience, you will sell product. Why do you fail companies? Because you find that you are disconnected, you're not being honest with you and your customer, okay, and you're not listening. You're not listening. Good leaders, great leaders have this uncanny ability to listen and actually manage the amount of risk to be able to pivot left or right and make those right decisions in order to steer their teams in the right direction. And so if you have a team of salespeople need marketing people need finance, and marketing people need engineering, and the whole team needs guidance and leadership. If the ship is swimming along beautifully, you got to be able to hit those big waves and different waves that you're thrown at. And so you lost your biggest customer. Why? And how do you go gain other customers to supplement the big customer loss? And are you celebrating the joy together? Are you celebrating someone that's going to be working, 8, 10, 12 hours a day for you and sacrificing their time they could be spending with their family? And so it comes down to life, business, everything. Fighting cancer is always a team sport. Very rarely is it a solopreneur opportunity. Even golfers and tennis players that play the sport lonely have huge teams behind them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They have teams behind them to make them successful. And so that's the true art of leadership, is to be able to listen to your followers, empathize with your followers, okay? Treat them not as subordinates, but as equal members that be able to contribute their piece of the puzzle to the overall corporate or life success. And that's as simple as I can break it down from Babson College in my life.
No, and it makes sense. And I think one of the challenges we tend to have within business is that we are obsessed with quarterly numbers and quarterly results. Now look at sports. Now look at you're from Boston, right? Look at the Celtics. They went a little while without winning a championship. They got Jason Tatum in. They got a few sort of players that were really rocking, and they said, out loud, look, we're going through a phase of rebuilding, and we give us time, but we're going to get to this level again. If you're in a business and you say, look, okay, we're going through a bit of rebuilding, your shareholders don't wait, do they? Your stockholders don't wait. Your share price goes down, and that's one of the challenges. How do you want to have these long-term goals, and you want to have the right culture, which I think is super important, which will deliver the results. So that the targets are never really. I almost think the financial results are an outcome of having a strong culture and delivering against your goals. So the number itself, although it's a notional target, but that comes from having everything else in place. So if you don't have the right power forward, the right center, the right all those things, you're not going to win a championship. But you've got to have them all together. They pull together, and it does deliver. And hopefully you're going to get some longevity. You're going to get some sort of you're going to win 3 out of 4, and that's what I think sports teams get right, is that they have a recognition. You can step back. Okay, we're going to rebuild this. We're going to start from here and move forward. And that's where businesses need to go. I think it's just sort of talk more about what they're doing. So many do it behind closed doors.
The right product, service, or platform that someone wants to participate in or use or purchase for this time. And so we've seen a lot of brands through the digital, from the brick and mortar to digital, go away, right? So, once the pandemic hit, we started working from home. So less office space is needed. Well, you know what? We have a lot of homeless people out here. Do you want to use that to actually serve as a homeless? Or do you want to charge rent for that? So there's decisions that need to be made, as we're, going through these, decision making and things like that. So are you serving the need of the end user, either consumer or business or group? And you have to keep asking yourself that. And you have to keep refining that. And you have to do that, fairly frequently in order to stay relevant.
And I think people should look back, and not that history necessarily dictates or influences the future, but look back at some of those huge companies. You think about Blockbuster, Kodak, Nokia. I mean, Kodak invented digital photography. This isn't going to work, so stuck on with film. Blockbuster, no. Streaming is never going to happen. They had the chance to sort of buy Netflix when it was worth $10 million. And the other ones are the same, really. You think, well, gosh, and Nokia was the world's biggest mobile phone supplier for years, 60, 70, 80% market share. And now it's a massive, you go through the tube, the subway, there's one person out of 1,000 with a Nokia, and that's pretty good odds, really. But it's recognizing that what you had that worked for a particular time might not work again today.
Remember BlackBerry? The BlackBerry.
Absolutely. I used to love that.
It had a 10-year
I know BlackBerry.
Run. It was amazing.
It did. I know the sort of, what was it, the Crackberry. I love my BlackBerry. I could type on it so quickly, but just they didn't move forward.
And the touchscreen digital, they didn't see it coming. They had blind spots. They thought that they could just continue with the next version of a thumb screen, and obviously the folks at Google and the folks at Apple and those others decided that this is different, and people's adoption of that proved it.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, every lawyer went to a smartphone away from a BlackBerry over time.
Yeah. A couple of things I was going to ask you. I'm not sure they're apps now, but almost in normal life, when you don't have cancer, how do you practice self-care? Do you look after the mind and body? Where does your energy go to look after yourself? Because you obviously have a lot of energy, even now, after what you're going through. How do you keep that energy high? How do you keep those energy levels really rocking?
So here's the discipline that I learned is that I find my happy place and I schedule it in and I go there as frequently as possible. And my happy place happens to be the basketball court. And that's where I feel a stress-free zone. I also like hiking. I like biking. I love the outdoors. And in my book, I tell everyone, find a happy place, find multiple happy places, and go there, because that's the self-care that you need. And so I've also, in my journey now, understand much more about energy healing and vibration. All that stuff was very new to me. I'm still very new at it, but there's some reality to that, because empathy and love and kindness are high up on the vibration scale, whereas hate is low on the vibration scale, and anger and things like that. And even someone told me on one of my podcasts that, it takes 43 muscles to frown and 17 facial muscles to smile. So I'm learning. And my self-care now, especially after I have to build Humpty Dumpty for a third time, emotionally, physically, financially, and relationships, all has to happen, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It's almost saying I want to lose 100 kilo or 100 pounds. You don't lose that in 1 week or 1 month. That takes time and discipline for you to lose and keep that weight off. The same thing with your self-care. And so finding your happy place may be a simple process, but everyone can do it, okay? Because you define it. Is it art? Is it cooking? Is it meditation? Is it yoga? Is it travel? Is it walking and putting your feet in the water? You define where your happy place is. A lot of people use meditation. A lot of people it works for. A lot of people use massage and acupuncture and acupressure. I'm not a definer. This is a open thing that you define yourself, and also try new things, right? And find out if all of a sudden you become the chef in the kitchen and you love the joy of cooking. Imagine that. It's pretty cool. Now, I have the joy of barbecue, but not the joy of cooking, of baking. So again, that's how I do it. I'm very, in tune where I am, mentally as best as I can. And if I can't, I find my happy space for that. I do listen to meditation. I listen to books about successful leaders. And I also like kind of spy mysteries to kind of lose myself as well. So you find it yourself, you find your place, and that's important. And that is a discipline. Many people find trouble in doing that. And I don't. I've learned that now after coming through what I've come through. And so physically, the basketball court and working out is my place. And you have to find your own. You can share mine. You want to come play basketball? That's all great. I love it.
I think you'd be, no matter what condition you're in, I think you'd be sinking those 3-pointers a bit easier than I would.
That's true.
It's becoming much bigger in the UK. So there's quite a few series on Netflix and things about basketball. And so it almost you get to see the personalities behind the sort of the hype, and it's it's an amazing game. It really is. I will think of you on the court. I would sort of think it's a great place to end.
I won't be on the court for a little while, but
but when you are, let's think of you in a positive way.
That's my goal. See, that's in front of me. I need to get back to the basketball court, and I will.
Yeah. I mean, I do think, and this is not just words, I do think you are still shining incredibly brightly, regardless of where you are now. And I would just ask everybody that does listen to this to send their prayers, positive thoughts to Howard. I'll put some links into the show notes. There's a GoFundMe page. People have been kind enough to sort of express their support with money, with prayers, with love, and all of those things have a massive difference. So I'll put links to that, links to the book.
Blood and platelets and getting swabbed for now bone marrow. But it doesn't cost anything to pray or send some healing prayers. It doesn't cost anything to send a joke, but it also doesn't cost anything to hug your family and to do kind things for others. That's okay, YB. If they're doing that, that's shining brightly. So that's what my intention and the movement intend. And so, but if they can support me other ways too, I have to be open to that right now in my time of need, because I do say this in the book. Ultimately, you have to be able to, it's not what you get in this world, it's what you give. And that's actually what you'll ultimately judge by. And I try to give every day, even in my current state. Okay, I will be talking to another cancer patient later that I am mentoring, and I will give and try to shine brightly for them, even in my current state, because that's what I want to do. I want to spend. That's where I'm choosing to spend my kindness and time. And so others, make your own decisions. This is what you got to do yourself. And I always say at the end of all my podcasts, and I'll say here for you, is that if we choose to shine brightly for ourselves, remember self-care, self-love, emotional, physical, financial relationships, you got to look at yourself. Because if you're not functioning well, how are you supposed to support others and be kind and lift up others? And that is taking the light of my light right now. If I shared my light through your podcast and touched anyone, we've done our job today, Andre. And that's what I hope we've done. And I think we have.
Thank you so much. Look after yourself.
I will. And I just put on my glasses to say thank you for this opportunity. And
hey, I love them.
we will shine brightly always together. And I'm grateful for you, for your listeners.
My absolute pleasure.
Just keep going, keep being kind, keep being empathetic, and be blessed.